to see that blue care place down on Richmond Road, I had that appointment made for that day just before Christmas, but I moved it to mid-January because that was the only time we could get in to see that place before Christmas. So I went in mid-January, remade the appointment for the 15th of January because a lot of those places close between Christmas and New Year. So I was there on the 15th of January, just a normal mammogram. And then that was a Wednesday, and then I was here at your place on the Monday afternoon about 5:15. We'd come back from the shopping, and I got a call from the Chermside Breast Care Clinic. So it's like the place I went to the place near where I live.
They have video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Capera, but they rang me when I was on the phone to you, and they said there was something they would like me to come back for another scan. Okay, just the usual sort
You
of
want
thing.
some more, Mum?
Yeah, just the usual thing. So to come back, and they made it that Wednesday morning, and I was here. I was here with you, and you asked me because you must have been twigged that there was something wrong, and because I said to them, well, I'm not going to worry until I know there's something to worry about it. Yeah, and they said, yeah, that's good. So come back in on Wednesday morning. So I went in on that Wednesday morning. This was the 25th of January by then, and they did another ultrasound and mammogram, and then they said, while you're here, we'll do a biopsy. We'll do a needle biopsy. And so all this time I'm thinking, I'm not going to worry until I know there's something to worry about. So they did this needle biopsy, and then I thought they were doing it incorrectly because they did more than one. Anyway,
So they knew more.
Oh, they knew more. They don't tell you.
They the cotton.
Yeah, they won't tell you anything. Well,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I
they
knew enough.
Yeah.
Knew enough not to ask them to give me the chapter and verse because they won't give me anything. So, anyway, so they did 2 needle biopsies, and then and there, and the Friday was the Australia Day public holiday, and so they said I'd have to come back in on Tuesday of next week to get the results, and I said, well, I'm going to Stradbroke on Monday with my parents. You know, we've had this holiday that's all been lined up. I can't come in on Tuesday. I said, can you just give me the results over the phone? And they said, no, we can't give you the results over the phone. Anyway, so I said, okay, all right. And I said, is there any prospect we could get it on the Monday? And I said, no, with the public holiday on Friday, we can't be assured to have the information back. So that's when I remade the appointment. I remade our booking to go to Stradbroke from the Monday to the Tuesday afternoon. Anyway, Tuesday afternoon, the car was all packed, Lola was in the back, Ian was there, and I had to go over to Chermside again, to this breast clinic place. And I walked in, and I said to Ian, are you going to come with me? He said, oh, no. He said he had to get Lola some shade, so he was going to be outside with Lola, and I thought he was going to come in after that. But I went in, and I was introduced into a little room, and then there's 2 women doctors came in shortly after that. One was the head of the clinic. She was obviously a specialist doctor, and the other one was the head of all of their radiology, mammogram type things. Anyway, from their body language, as soon as they walked in, I knew that it wasn't necessarily sort of a good result. Anyway, they sat down and they explained that I had, and they gave me a form which showed of the breast where there were 2 lumps. One was quite small. The other one was I forget the size now, but there were 2 small lumps. You couldn't actually feel them when you were manipulating the breast at all. So there were 2 small lumps, and they said, but they are both invasive. They've come out of the duct, the mammalian sort of duct, mammary gland duct, to where milk gets produced, and so they are invasive. But they didn't, and they'd also had done an ultrasound of my glands under my arm, but that was inconclusive. So they said that I needed to be referred to a breast surgeon to discuss with me the options for treatment, but they needed to be surgically removed and it looked like it would be a good prospect for just a lumpectomy, not a complete
Hysterectomy.
or not a complete mastectomy, just a lumpectomy. Yeah. Anyway,
With-
so
Wrong
You know what I
bit.
mean?
yeah. I'll take that out too. Anyway, and they said it when they had rung my doctor while I was waiting there, and she said to come for me to go back there straight away, and that I'd be brought in when I went there. So I went out to the car, and there was Ian, and I had this piece of paper, showing me that there was this 2 lumps and where they were basically, and then I went back to Sanford and saw my doctor. And they had already given me a list of 4 surgeons in the local area that operate at a few of the local hospitals, because I said I'd go privately. I've got medical insurance. So when I got to Sanford, my doctor took me in, and Ian said, "Why are we going back to Sanford?" And I said, "Because I've got breast cancer." And I was really quite annoyed that he wasn't there with me. Anyway, and he got really sobered and up about that. And at my my doctor, going back to my regular GP, she used to be an assistant to a breast surgeon in her earlier career, and she said, "Kathy, you have no idea that things have moved along so far in the last 10, 20 years. Previously, you would have had a radical mastectomy, and they would have actually taken all of your lymph nodes out from under your arm, and in which case you'd never get full radial movement of your arm ever again. But now they're much more specialised. They can work out where it is and all the rest." So anyway, she was operating on the assumption that it was still inside the duct, but it wasn't, so it had come out of the duct. Anyway, so and she said, we discussed various options about a breast surgeon, and one of them was a girlfriend of mine on the mountain had gone to. So, and she said how good she was. So I said, Melinda Cook sounds good. So we made an appointment for Melinda. And Melinda was going to give me an appointment at 1 o'clock that afternoon. And all of this just felt to me like it was going far too quick. I'd already sort of delayed going to Stradbroke from one day to the next. This was the last chance for Ian and I to have a little holiday together before he went back to work, because he spent 2 weeks of his holiday period going to Micronesia. Anyway, so and I said, no, next week. And anyway, so I got an appointment for the following Thursday, which they ultimately brought forward to the Monday. Anyway, and then I went from there. And Melinda, I said that, and she went through all of the various things about, could be a mastectomy, could be this, but because they were both relatively close together, she said if they were in different places of the breast, it would have been a complete mastectomy. But because they were relatively close together, she thought that she could get them both at the same time, and that depending upon what, how it gets the genetic testing or the testing of the lump after it's removed, then it would suggest either one of 2 courses, either chemotherapy, radiotherapy, hormone treatment, or radiotherapy, hormone treatment. He said, but I would inevitably have radiotherapy and hormone treatment. The reason chemo is sometimes suggested is if it's out of the breast and into your lymph nodes, it's obviously getting around in your whole of your system, and so radiotherapy doesn't do whole of system stuff, but hormone treatment does do whole of system. Hello, Johnny. Yeah, it does do whole of system stuff. Anyway, so So that was then. I had the operation on the 14th of February.
Have a seat.
Yeah. Hello, Johnny. Okay. Yeah. Come on.
Guys.
Good.